fighting for stuff, we win. And Sam Aanestad has always been that kind of man. What would it be like when we had an election if we would have had a lieutenant governor like Sam Aanestad? What kind of choices would we have in the future if we had good men sitting at statewide office to select from? Folks, it'd be a different ballgame. We need to elect conservatives to statewide offices, and we need Sam Aanestad to be our next lieutenant governor. So I'm happy to introduce my friend, Sam Aanestad.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much for that wonderful introduction. And if I were smart, I would just sit down. Thomas Jefferson said, "A government that is large enough to give you everything you want is large enough to take everything you have." Folks, for the last, I'm losing my voice here again a little bit, but for the last 4 or 5 years, I've not had a lot of fun being the senator and butting my head every day against the wall and being frustrated in Sacramento. But I'm having fun this year, and I'm going to tell you why in just a moment. But the part I want to start out here with first of all, I'd like to say this. Think of yourself in a job for the last 12 years where you get to talk every day and vote and plan and negotiate every day with guys like Tom, Rick, Ted Gaines, George Runner, Barbara Albee, Dan Loeb. I mean, you folks have sent some of the cream of the crop to Sacramento, in my opinion, and it's been such a pleasure working with them. Now, this is my last year. I'm turned out of the Senate this year, and I have endorsed Rick. I think you do well to have him take over in the Senate seat. But I don't want you to be complacent. And this is a Lincoln Day, so I want to make my remarks on two levels. One level is this, and I usually have a can of Coca-Cola, you know, the bright red can, and I ask you, what does this really mean to you? What comes to your mind when you see a bright red can of Coca-Cola?
Mixer.
Answers. I've heard people say the Olympics. I've heard people just say half a cup of sugar.
Mixer.
Let me tell you what it means to me. I've been blessed, and my wife Susan and I have been in Canada. We've been in Mexico, South America, Europe, in England, on a cruise in the Caribbean, etc., etc. And every time I ask for a can of Coke, it is the same. The taste is the same in Italy as it is in Mexico. The diet, that's not true, but the real stuff, it is. Okay? It's consistent. Now let's back up a few months. And in the last presidential election, you had a choice of Republican candidates out there. You had a McCain, you had a Giuliani, a Mitt Romney, a Ron Paul, a Fred Thompson. Who am I forgetting? Huckabee. Okay, think of the can of Coke. Which one of them was the real Republican? Which one of them stood for less government? Any of them? Which one of them stood for individual freedom? Which one of them? Sarah Palin, yeah.
Amen.
The point I'm making is it any wonder why Republicans stayed home in droves last election? They stayed home. They were confused. Who do you vote for? And Barack Obama becomes the President of the United States. Now I'm suggesting when you have a lineup like George Runner and Rick Keene and Ted Gaines and Dan Logue, yes, Sam Aanestad and Tom Del Carl, the fact of the matter is you are getting that can of Coke. You're going to get what you think you're going to get. You're going to get what we told you when we ran.